Dr Graham, thank you for being with us today to give your health testimonial. According to your history that I've read, you were quite ill for over 30 years, I believe. Would you like to tell us a little about your illness?
Well, it began many years ago when I was serving in the armed forces. I was a very fit member of the armed forces, in fact, and we were calling it Puerto Rico out in the Caribbean, and I was given the yellow fever vaccination, and along with most of the crew of the ship, and this resulted a few hours later in me feeling quite ill, very weak, with malaise, with headaches, which they put down initially to glandular fever. And it was after some tests that were done for glandular fever, mononucleosis, they discovered that it wasn't that. So it had the medical authorities a bit worried on the ship. So they sent me off the ship to hospital, and I went through a whole series of tests which failed to find what the real problem was. In fact, it failed really to find any problem. They appreciated that there was a problem, but they couldn't actually find the cause. I was put on very light duties for quite some time because I couldn't actually continue with a normal job. And over the years, I found that there were many days I simply couldn't work. I reached a point where I just needed to sleep, sometimes 18 hours a day. And if I didn't sleep that length of time, my muscle energy, power would just completely disappear.
So, after seeing a number of health practitioners over the years, including allopathic as well as natural medicine doctors, you did not actually improve. Why do you think this is the case?
I think that, first of all, they initially were trying to treat the symptoms that I had, and because the cause they couldn't find. The sort of tests that I went through were many. They tested me for multiple sclerosis, different cancers. They thought I may have cancer of the colon, because I actually developed irritable bowel syndrome at the same time. Many really quite painful and pretty horrible tests that they did. But they couldn't discover the cause. They were, as I discovered later, looking in the wrong place.
When you did the DEL diagnostic program at the Vinci Holistic Health Centre in Larnaca, what underlying causes came up to the surface regarding your illness?
I think the most substantial thing that came up was the allergies, that I actually had allergies to several different things, and that was causing quite a lot of distress in many areas. The other thing that we concluded from the fact that I had quite a few amalgam fillings was that I was obviously going to be mercury toxic. Now, this is something that the doctors previously had ascertained, but they said that this wasn't a problem and wouldn't be a problem and couldn't be the cause of the symptoms that I had.
What holistic treatments did you follow, and over what period of time?
Well, after going through all the allopathic treatments, I tried fairly high doses of vitamin C and other minerals and supplements to try and see if there was a gap or something missing in the regime that I already had. And at the time, I found that I couldn't actually detox properly at all. As soon as I began to detox, I felt so ill that after just a few days I had to give up. And this was over a period of maybe 2 years that I found this.
In the initial hair mineral analysis that you did, it came back and it showed no metals. However, after you took the HMD, a natural heavy metal chelator that mobilizes metals from the storage organs, you found a large amount of mercury and other metals came out. Would you like to tell us a little about this?
Okay. The first hair mineral analysis that's done is a measurement of the toxins that are actually in the blood. Whereas in fact the toxins and the mercury particularly they don't normally reside in the blood. They actually go into the organs, in the kidneys, the liver, and they store themselves there. And it's not until they're mobilized that you actually see them running around in the blood, the result in the blood. So after the second hair mineral analysis I did, after a couple of months, then it was very clear that these toxins were coming out, and there were huge levels of them. And it's a bit of a misnomer for people to think that because you don't show on the first test that you've got heavy metal toxicity, that you don't have it. It's often quite the reverse.
What has been your experience with taking HMD? What changes have you seen in your health generally? Yes.
The first most incredible change was I used to get headaches, terrible migraines for years, and just general headaches and malaise. And I haven't had a headache now in all the time since I've been taking HMD. And that's some years now. I also found that my energy levels increased. I didn't need to sleep for 12 to 15 or 18 hours a day. I found that other things that I wasn't so sure whether it was all the same cause suddenly righted themselves, and that included irritable bowel syndrome. I had terrible gut problems. One of the other things that resolved themselves was the sexual dysfunction that I'd experienced for many years. This was partly due to complete lack of energy, but in fact it was also a dysfunctional problem that later just resolved itself totally. Another thing that I discovered after a couple of years that I'd completely forgotten about because I changed my lifestyle was angina. I had chronic angina, and I had the various medications for this, and I found while taking a friend for a walk up a hill one day, it had completely gone, and that was a real surprise because I didn't expect that, and I had adapted my lifestyle not to walk up hills and do things that were strenuous that would bring on the symptoms.
For you, it was important to take drainage remedies such as organic lavage, which consists of organic herbs for helping the kidneys, the liver, lymphatics and the blood, because you were quite congested in these areas. Did these really help?
Yeah, they helped enormously. As I mentioned before, I did try taking chelation protocols, as well as taking extra minerals and different supplements, and I found that I couldn't tolerate any of them. When I began taking the organic lavage, it was completely different. They really did open up the detox pathways and were a tremendous help in the chelation process, in the elimination of the toxic metals.
How long have you been taking HMD for?
I've been taking it now for about 3 years. Now, most of the chelation, most likely, was done in the first several months. But for me, I have amalgam fillings, so I know that I have a constant problem with mercury. And of course, there's a lot of toxins in the environment. And I found that taking the HMD takes care of many things, including, to some degree, some arthritic complaints that I had. I find that while I'm taking the HMD, I don't have any problem at all with it. Since HMD is very cheap, it's completely natural, there are no side effects from it, and it is also an antioxidant to some degree. I find it prophylactic to take it regularly.
Thank you for being with us and providing your health testimonial that hopefully will help others in need. Thank you for being with us.
The effect of HMD on me and the resolution of my health problems, as well as what I saw so often in other people, was so substantial that I became involved as a partner and as one of the shareholders in HMD.